Alright, hello everyone. Crimsonfox here with another deck breakdown, but for this week, instead of a deck breakdown, I decided to do a deck redux because, well, the deck I'm about to show you was relatively old when I showed it on a video. And since that video has debuted, it has been upgraded. It is now complete, but not optimal. In other words, it's not the best it can be, but it's completely runnable and consistent. So, let's go ahead and dive right into my Chaos Dragons. First up, you can't see that. Sorry, my camera's broken, or my camera stand is broken, so I have to hold it, so I'll sometimes miss things. I'll try to look at the screen as much as possible to actually know I'm capturing the card. Okay, but anyway, to start off with, 2 Alexandrite Dragons. Great card. It's a 2k beater. It's a 2k level 4 costless beater. So, really great. And of course, it's Light Dragon to go along with the Chaos Dragon theme. And there's that. Next, 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon. Sorry I did that again. I keep moving this fucking camera. Trying to do this right, but it's really hard. Anyway, 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon. He's important for later. Just know he's a key card in the deck. And of course, he is a normal Dark Dragon type monster with 2400 attack, so he's always nice. Next up, the staple for any dragon deck, mostly, 3 D-Metal. You know him, you love him, you know what this card does, and for those of you who don't, when you control a dragon type monster, a face-up dragon type monster, yes, a face-up dragon type monster, you can banish it to special summon him from your hand, and then you can special summon a dragon from your hand or grave, as long as it's not another one of him. So he's a really great card, special summons a lot, plus he's a dark dragon. Alright, next, the staple card for any Chaos Dragon deck, 3 Eclipse Wyvern. Pulls all your cards, well, not all your cards, but it pulls all your important cards, more than likely, like D-Metal or, you know, Dark Arm Dragon, or whatever the hell you run in your version of the... Didn't mean for that to sound snarky, but whatever you run in your version of the Chaos Dragons. In mine, I'll show you what I run later. But yeah, 3 Chaos Wyvern. Basically what he does, whenever he's into the graveyard at all, and I want to get a little bit into him because not a lot of people know this, but I don't know if a lot of people know this, I should say. I don't want to be sounding like a know-it-all. Which is kind of too late, right? Whatever. Basically, whenever he's into the graveyard at all, this means by card effect, from the deck, from the banished pile, from your hand, even as an Xyz material, he still gets his effect. He still gets his effect. That's important. I don't know if anyone's ever disputed that, but from what I saw on his rulings, which was a while ago, granted, so I should probably check it, but from what I know, as long as he's sent to the graveyard, as long as he gets to that grave, from anywhere, he is allowed to get his effect off. So that's good. Anyway, basically what he does when he's sent to the graveyard at all, banish a level 7 or higher, lighter dark dragon type monster from your deck. And then when he's banished from the graveyard, you add the card he banished to your hand. So Dark Arm Dragon, D-Metal, all that good stuff. Alright, next, 2 Dark Flare Dragon. Really great card, works like Dragon Ravine by sending a dragon type monster from your hand to send a dragon type monster from your deck, both to the graveyard. Then afterwards, he can banish a card from either deck. Combos really well with Eclipse Wyvern. Of course, he's a Chaos monster, which helps with the deck. So setting up for him is really great. Plus, he can be normal summoned. His special summon is only optional, not forced. Unlike Chaos Sorcerer and BLS, which is what I like about the Chaos Dragons. Anyway, next card, 2 Divine Dragon Apocalypse. Really great card. Works like Genesis Dragon, for those of you who know what that is. Except he doesn't have to discard a dragon-type monster, he only has to discard a card in order to get a dragon-type monster back to your hand. So let's say you have a spell card in your hand and a D-Metal in your grave. Oh, excuse me, sorry if you heard that. I burped. Just wanted to let you know. Thought you knew. I thought you deserved to know. So anyway, discard the spell, add the D-Metal back to hand, and banish him to get out your D-Metal. Really great. He's a dark monster, dragon-type. Runs perfectly with the deck. Next, Singular Dragons. Dragons I only run one of and are kind of just staple in dragon decks. One Prime Material Dragon. Forgot what I was saying. Right, one Prime Material Dragon. Great card. Just in case burn ever happens. You know, instead of losing life points, you'll gain it, thanks to him. And, of course, he protects your monsters from destruction. If your opponent happens to activate Dark Hole, and you have a card in your hand and him on the field, discard a card. Dark Hole is done. Doesn't do anything. Keep all your monsters. You can just laugh in your opponent's face while they go, "Oh, my Dark Hole! You stopped it! You..." Heavy Storm. Damn it! I didn't want you to do that. Too bad. Alright, enough of being stupid. Next, one Dark Arm Dragon, of course. He's good in the deck, really, but I hardly ever draw into him or get him, ever. So I never really get him out. Now, he doesn't hurt the deck at all. He doesn't hurt to have in there. He just doesn't help either. He's kind of one of those neutral cards for my deck. Like, if I do ever get him out, shit goes down. I mean, down. My opponent usually just cries, but, you know, that's not what usually happens. He doesn't usually get out. So, it doesn't really help the deck, doesn't really hurt the deck, but he's still good to have. He's better than anything else I can run in this deck. Maybe, no, definitely better than anything else I could run over him. Anyway, moving on to the next card, the last dragon of the deck, and the most important dragon, Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, the key card of the deck, the whole reason this deck even exists. And boy, does it work well for him. I can get him out consistently in this deck with over 3k attack, normally. Or not over 3k, but with at least 3k attack, which is terrific. I love the fact that I can do that, because this is my favorite card. I love this card to death. And I've always been trying to figure out a way to use this card in a deck effectively, and this is it. This is how I figured it out, and it's really, really good in this deck, and really helps a lot. It's just nice. I just love it. I love that I can actually use him. Alright. Anyway, since that was the last dragon, that means everything else is non-dragon. So, first up we have two, Jane, Lightsworn Paladin. Great card for the deck. Sorry, this thing was getting really warm, so I had to check if it was like breaking or something, but no. Anyway, really good for the deck. Just the right amount of speed for me to use him. And, of course, he's a light monster. The milling helps a lot. And he combos well with another card, which we'll get to next. But, yeah, plus he becomes a 21 beater. It's always nice. Alright, next to Kremens. He's the card I was talking about. He combos well with Jane because he's a tuner, and I can synchro summon for 6, giving me a free light and dark in the grave for me to chaos summon. Or whatever you want to call it. I call it a chaos summon. Really great. He's a tuner. He can block attacks. Really great card. Just all around great. Next, one Raikou Lightsworn Hunter. Another really great card because he only mills 3 once, and I love that about him. I don't like milling 3 too much, like in one turn, or even in within 2 turns. If I've milled 6 cards because of one card on my field, I'd probably feel cheated. It probably wouldn't work as well. It'd probably be a little too fast for my deck. That's why I don't run Lila, just a heads up. But yeah, great card. You can use his effect once or even twice in this deck because of a spell I run. Just in general, a great card. Free mill and free destruction. Well, not a free mill and free destruction, but a mill and destruction, which is always nice, in my opinion. And the last monster is, of course, Chaos Sorcerer. Now, Chaos Sorcerer isn't the best option in the deck, but he's the best option for me right now. The best thing to run over him would be, of course, BLS, because he does everything Chaos Sorcerer does, plus more. You know, he doesn't just banish face-up monsters, he banishes monsters. And he can attack twice if he kills a monster. Alright. That's it for the monsters. So now we're going to move on to spells, and I know you did. I know some of you Chaos Dragon users noticed that I don't run Lightsworn, or not Lightsworn, but Light Pulsar. That's because I don't really find much use in him in this deck. I can't use him a lot. I don't really use him a lot. He is in the side deck. I do have him in the deck, just not in the main deck. He's always in the side deck, just in case I feel like my opponent's blowing up cards too much. Anyway. Lower Darkness. I do run a lot of Dark. In fact, I run 2 more Dark than I do Light. So, a Lower Darkness does help, or at least it would if I kept fucking drawing into cards I'm okay to banish. Like, Apocryph, or Krebins. But no! He's always D-Metal, or Dark Armed, or Bright Eyes Darkness Dragon. It's always them. I've never once drawn and used a lure and banished something I don't care about. It's very rare that I do that. It's not a bad card, it's just I'm terribly unlucky with Allure of Darkness. Alright, anyway. Magic Stone, great card. I do run a lot of stapley spells. And it gives me a free 2 monsters to the grave. I gotta stop saying free, because it's not free. But I do like the, 2 monsters in the grave, or the 2 cards in the grave, and I get back a Monster Reborn or something. So, really good card. Anyway, next, Barrel from a Different Dimension. This is for that unlucky situation where I was talking about where I banish a frickin' D-Metal or a Dark Armed and I don't want them banished. So I just kind of send them back to the grave with a little help from Burial. Next, another Burial, Foolish Burial. I know some of you are wondering, why am I running Foolish Burial? Well, I like to get Eclipse Wyvern to the grave as soon as possible, and Foolish helps me do that. I think Foolish is a great card for this deck because I just throw it down and get an Eclipse Wyvern straight to the grave. Alright, next is the staples that are used in everyday decks. 3 MST. Sorry, I'm trying to get it in front of the camera. Book. Heavy. And Reborn. I do not run Dark Hole, and I will explain why later when I come up to the card. Alright, next is the traps. Escape from the Dark Dimension. I do run a lot of Darks, so it helps. Because I do like to banish those Darks. Especially Apocryph, because he's a dragon, and I usually use him with D-Metal. 1 Dragon's Rebirth. I think this card is great, personally. Because it's like Call of the Haunted. But you don't have to worry about it getting MST'd. Unlike Call of the Haunted. So, like, let me give you a situation. I know it's going to take a while to explain, but let me put it this way. When you activate Call of the Haunted and that monster are now permanently linked until one is destroyed, which makes your monster more vulnerable. Your monster can now be MST'd to death. No monster should be able to be MST'd to death. But there are a few. And Call of the Haunted is one of those cards that lets that happen. Whereas Dragon Rebirth only has a cost. Not that downside that Call of the Haunted has, just a cost. And it's usually a cost I'm okay with paying. Like I have an Apocryph on the field, and they have, like, blue eyes. Dragon Rebirth, get my D-Metal out. Of course, D-Metal would die, but I only take 200 in the process. So, it's, in my opinion, a really good card. Don't run more than 1, in my opinion. Don't run more than 1, unless you can handle it. But, running 1 would be okay in Chaos Dragons. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Next, Deck Devi. Really great card. Ideally, effect-wise anyway, ideally. I know that didn't make any sense, but ideally I would run Eradicate Epidemic, but its cost is a little too high for me. I don't have a lot of, over 25k monsters. I have a lot of over 2000k dark monsters, or 2k dark monsters, but I don't have a lot of 2.5k dark monsters. So, Deck Devi is much better. Plus it gets rid of monsters. I'm not really too worried about Spell Trap anymore. Just monsters. 1 TT. This is why I don't run Dark Hole. I prefer TT to Dark Hole, because 1, you can have 2 of it, and 2, it's faster. There's a spell speed of 2. Alright. Next, 2 Call of the Haunted. I do run it. It's not a bad card, it's just, I feel that it just makes monsters more vulnerable, but I would still run it. It's still a great card. It's not bad. I'm not saying don't run it. I'm just saying I want to have that security. That's why I don't run 3. And 1 of that. Of Dragon's Rebirth instead. And the last trap is Return from the Different Dimension. This card never sees the light of day in my deck. I have never once used this card in any duel I've had with my Chaos Dragons. Never once have I used that card. You may ask why. Well, I'll tell you why. Because I don't banish a lot in this deck. It doesn't happen. So when I don't banish a lot, this card never gets used. So I just win through OT. No, I don't want to say that. It's just, it never gets used. I hardly ever banish. But it is in there. It would be in the side deck. I do need to replace it, but it would be in the side deck just in case I banish a little too much. Okay, so it's not completely useless. It's just not very useful as of right now. Anyway, we're just going to quickly go through the side deck because it's already been 15 minutes, and I really don't want to go over that. It's just a freaking deck video. Iron Chain, Red Dragon, Utopia, Dark Mist. Let me show you Utopia again because I probably missed it because I'm retarded. Utopia, Dark Mist, Zenmeister, and Zenmeister. Because I don't own 3 Utopia, and I run Dark Mist because I have one. I have one more Krebins in the side deck. So yeah, that's the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, you keep on being nerdy, Internet.